So I set eyes on church and the steeple down by the village green. La 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 la, 'cause there I met a girl called Daisy, kissed her by an old oak tree. La 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 la, although I love my Daisy, I saw it fade, so I left the village green. I miss the village green and all the simple people. I miss the village green, the church clock, the steeple. I miss the morning dew, fresh air and Sunday school, and now other houses are rare antiquities. American tourists flock to see the village green. La 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 la, they send their photographs and say, "Oh, darn it, isn't it a pretty sight?" La 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 la, and Daisy's married to a grocer boy, and now he owns a grocery. I miss the village green and all the simple people. I miss the village green, the church clock, the steeple. I miss the morning dew, fresh air and Sunday school, and I will return and I'll see Daisy and we'll sit around and talk about the village green. Hi, thanks for joining me for another lesson. Moving away from the lead stuff for this one and the blues stuff, and going to look at some songs by some of my favourite artists. So I thought, who better to start with than the Kinks, one of my all-time favourites, and one of my favourite songs from them called Village Green. So come in for a close-up and let's learn how it goes. So this song is from an album called The Kinks Are the Village Green Preservation Society, which apparently was a bit of a bomb back in the day when it was released, but has since gone on to be their, I think their highest selling album ever in the UK, maybe, or globally, not sure. But I'd recommend it. It's a concept album and every track's great, but I've opted to teach this one. The other thing to note is that I'm playing it in a different key. You may have noticed my singing voice is not it's not exactly got a lot of range, so I've had to play it in a lower key. But essentially we're going to play the same chords as you would hear in the original, but in the original you'd have a capo on the 3rd fret. So when I start with an A minor, in the original album version, if you're playing along, what you want to do is play a C minor. But I'll put up all the chord diagrams, and in brackets I'll have the actual chord as well as the shape that I'm playing, so that all makes sense. And the other thing is, because this is just an acoustic one, the introduction, then I'm playing it a tad slower than the original. Again, adjust accordingly, however you see fit. So there's only two parts to the song really. There's the verse chords, which are also the same as the intro, and then there's the chorus. So we'll go through the verse intro first and then the chorus. So we start off with this thing going on. And that's the verse chords. So what we've got there is an A minor. We're going to have a D minor. We're going to have a G. I tend to hold the G, this kind of indie G, if you like. That's kind of how I think of it, where I'm not holding the 2nd fret on the B string, I'm muting it. Like that. But I'll put, like I said, I'll put up the diagrams. And then we've got a C, and we've got an F. If you want to play the F, if you can't do the bars yet, you can play the F like this. Where I'm not sounding these two strings. And I'm just ring finger on the 3rd fret D string, middle finger on the 2nd fret G string, and then doing a little mini bar with my fingertip on the 1st fret on the B and the E. Which sounds fine as well. So after that, A minor, D minor, G, C, F, back to a D minor, and then we've got an E, and then we finish on the A minor again. And that's the verse. So the strumming pattern for that is also pretty simple. We're going to be going, so that's 3 downstrokes. Second one, we're only really hitting the bass notes. So after those first 3, we're then going to do another down and then an up. So and that's what we're going to do for each chord, which is like half a measure on each chord. If you want to, with the last upstroke of those, it's perfectly acceptable to take your fingers off as you change chord. So that upstroke, you're not really holding anything down, that's fine. Far from all the city noise of the city, there's a village green, I know. It's been a long time since I last set eyes on the church and the steeple down by the old tree. You get the gist? So that's the verse. You repeat that until we then get to this chorus bit, which is a classic Kinks rundown. I don't think there's any chord walk down of bass notes that the Kinks haven't done. And this is another great one. So this one we start with the D minor. So this is where the song gets to the bit where it goes, I miss the village green and all the simple people. I miss the village green, the church, the clock, the steeple. I miss the morning dew, fresh air and Sunday schooling now. So what we're doing there, D minor. Now you might want to change your fingering for this D minor, because if you're used to holding it using your ring finger, we're going to need that ring finger to switch whilst we still need to maintain the D minor shape for the second chord. So what I do is I use my little finger on that 3rd fret of the B string, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and first finger on the 1st fret of the E string when I start this rundown. So first chord D minor, then we've got a D minor 7 with a C in the bass. We then switch to a G with a B in the bass, and then we go to a, I think is a G minor with a B flat in the bass. So let's go through quickly how we do those. So we're starting off with the D minor with our pinky there. And we're going to do that same strumming pattern of down, 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 up. We're then going to bring our ring finger and put it on the C note, which is the 3rd fret of the A string. Repeat the strumming pattern, so far. We're then going to remove all of the fingers apart from the pinky, and we're going to bring our middle finger up and we're going to play the 2nd fret of the A string. And I should have said with that D minor 7 C in the bass that the ring finger is muting the D string. And when I do the G over B, I'm also muting the D string. So the only notes I'm really sounding here is the 2nd fret of the A string, the open G string, and the 3rd fret on the B string. So we've got last chord in this little part is we go and put our first finger on the first fret of the A string. For our G minor with B flat over the bass, in the bass. So you do those 4 chords once, you then switch to an A minor rundown. So start off with your A minor, keep the same strumming pattern as we've used throughout the song. Our pinky's then coming over and we're holding the 3rd fret on the E string for an A minor 7 with G in the bass. And then we're going to go and do this chord. So what we're doing there is from that shape we are bringing up the middle finger and putting it on the 2nd fret of the E string, and we're going to be holding it all together. So we're going to have 2nd fret, mute the A, open D, 2nd fret on the G, 1st fret on the B. And it doesn't really matter too much whether you want to mute or sound the high E. So. And then we finish that part of the rundown on an F chord. So from the A minor. And then to finish this chorus, we're going to go to a standard B chord and then an E chord. So that's going to sound like this. And that's it. Let's go through that whole chorus all in one go. So, I'm Mr. Village Green, and all the simple people. I'm Mr. Village Green, church, the clock, the steeple. I'm Mr. Morning Dew, fresh air on Sunday school. And that's it. I think the only other thing to say is, with all strumming patterns, that's just your template. I think occasionally I'll add an additional up strum or down. Doesn't really matter as long as you're changing chord at the right time and you're hitting the notes, accentuating the right beats. Then it's all cool. So yeah, brilliant song. Great album. I think everyone who loves the music should listen to this album. Definitely up there, one of the all-time greats, and I hope you enjoyed this song. So thank you very much for joining me, and see you for the next one. Bye bye.